It's Wednesdays with Keegs, and I always like to start with some positives. And Keegs, I haven't always been the biggest fan of George Springer, but I will say this. If the entire 2026 Toronto Blue Jays were playing like George Springer right now, then I'd say, hey, we got a shot at a wild card.
They'd be all right, man. He looks great. Like, not just getting lucky with balls sneaking through. He looks great. Really does. It's been the last 2 weeks or so. And when a guy is playing great, you want there to be a reason that shows you it's not just something that's good luck, which happens a lot in baseball. George Springer is swinging a lot harder right now. When you look at his bat tracking data, which I know everyone's so excited to do, but I promise you it shows that he is swinging way harder. And he looks healthy again. He looks like he did last year, where he was such an energizing player. Last year, he was their MVP, quite frankly. Earlier this year, there was the broken toe, which couldn't have been fun to play through for a while. I also don't know how it feels to be 36 going 37, coming off of a long, the longest season possible, and then coming back for a new year. That can't help you. Right now, he looked great. He looks re-energized, and he is more than anyone, I think, helping his stock ahead of the trade deadline. Other teams are going to notice this. When you're trading for a guy just for 7 or 8 weeks, it is a what have you done lately sort of situation. So when you compare George Springer's playoff experience and his reputation, along with some recent results, that starts to get more exciting if you're the Blue Jays and if you're trying to get a real prospect back.
Right now, the Jays' potential trade pickups for other teams, it's like a buffet at this point. And I see only a couple untouchables, Okamoto and Vlad.
It's about it. You know, anything that's not nailed down for now, I think you have to. Like the expiring guys, which means Gosman, Bieber, Varsho, Springer, and maybe Max Scherzer. Maybe you entertain Jeff Hoffman as well. 1 year left remaining after this, so I think could get an interesting return. Beyond that, the Jays will have some interesting calls, I think. Players like Tyler Rogers, Louis Varland. On one hand, I'm pretty hesitant because if they trade Louis Varland, we're going to be sitting here in December, Dan, talking about how they need a good closer. And we'll be saying, well, they just had one, you know? So I think you need to be careful not to create more holes, but you've always got to be open to someone blowing you away. Like to offering you something that's absolutely ridiculous that can change your franchise. I'm talking about like a young prospect who you think can be an all-star center fielder for the next 5 years, like that type of thing every single day. Otherwise, though, I think you hold on and you don't mess with Happy and you don't create more problems for yourself. But like you say, Dan, they've got a lot of options right now. They have the speed and defense, maybe full-time player in Varsho. They have the bench bat veteran guy in Springer. They have a couple starting options. Hoffman, I think, is a lot more interesting than a lot of Jays fans are going to realize. So how can they turn all of that into something legitimate? I don't care about another team's number 24 prospect. Okay, the Blue Jays have enough big leaguers. That's what they did in 2024. And that led to Yohendrick Pinango. That led to Brandon Valenzuela down the line. It led to Jesus Sanchez. Like, all of these guys are big leaguers. Cool. But you need stars. How can they take a run at getting a prospect back who could be a star? Maybe you're combining a couple of these players. Does one team want Gosman and Hoffman? I don't know. Do you eat some money to get back a better prospect? Maybe. But they have options, you know, like they're not just sitting here with one pitcher to trade. They've got a lot on the menu, and that should allow a smart front office to get creative here. You don't need 10 good prospects. I think a smaller number of very good prospects would be a lot more exciting right now.
The Shane Bieber situation is like oil right now. After one start, it's skyrocketing up, and then all of a sudden it craters. It's up, it craters. With each passing day, the return for Bieber changes.
That's all over the place, man. And even if you are an opposing team, like let's say I'm the GM of the White Sox, Phillies, Atlanta, whoever it is, we might really think that that's just an anomaly. The 6 walks, like whatever, we don't care. Like we actually think that Shane Bieber's back and can be a big addition for our ball club. I'm not going to tell Ross Atkins that, right? I'm going to call up and say, wow, you know what, Ross, I was willing to give you this, but that last start really scared us. It doesn't matter if you're BSing one another. That's part of the game, right? And with Bieber, I compare it now, Dan, to Gosman. If Gosman had just had that start, I'd say whatever. He has made his last 140 starts with the Jays, no problem. And one outlier is not going to skew the value a ton. With Shane Bieber, he's coming off a year ago Tommy John rehab. This year, missing half the year with kind of some extended rehab and some forearm fatigue. He's back, but you have such a small sample. 2 starts ago was fantastic. Man, he looked so good. And if he'd done that again, we're talking about a big media storm of everyone writing Shane Bieber is the trendy pitcher ahead of the deadline. Teams that don't get Tarek Skubal will come back and talk about Shane Bieber. Now, I don't know what the hell the conversation looks like. I really don't, because you have a great start and an awful, historically bad start with 6 walks in the first. I know that down in Washington, John Schneider said after the game that the ball was kind of slipping on him. It was humid and sweaty. It didn't seem to impact Washington's pitchers. I don't know what was going on there, but that's going to impact things, man. It's all timing.
Another piece of good news: Brendon Little was the Toronto Blue Jays' best pitcher on Tuesday.
That was good.
Yeah,
this is where we're at for good news.
You
now.
want good things to happen to him at this point.
Brendon Little looking great in the second inning, which kind of is like, whoa, God. But hey, man, it's Brendon Little has taken a beating.
Yes.
Let's call it what it is. He has taken an absolute beating. I think back to being in Seattle last year where he blew that game late. And he met with the media, which I got to say every time I respect. And he was emotional about doing that. Like you're letting your whole team down. Now, thankfully for him, they came back. They won that series. And we forgot about it for a bit. But this year has been pretty awful for Brendon Little. Even when he got sent down to AAA Buffalo, he was walking close to a batter an inning. Like it wasn't great. He's back up now because the Blue Jays need to see what they have in him because he's taking up a 40-man roster spot. Is this going to be a player that you carry into next season and try to fix, or do you move on? That's what they're doing these next 2 months. And I think Brendon Little will pitch a ton, and he should, because finding a pitcher from the left side with a breaking ball like his and a fastball like his, it's not all that common. The problem is that little white square box that they put over home plate. He's not throwing it inside that box enough. Yesterday was great. And what Brendon Little needs to do is get himself in some 0-1 counts, 1-2 counts. Then you can throw your big curveball out of the zone and you'll make someone look stupid. He did that. Did a great job of it. So that's a step. Man, it's going to be wide open for him to pitch a whole bunch. And he deserves that chance at this point, man. Take another shot at it. And I hope that people pay attention to those innings as well. I know there have been some bad ones, but if he reels off 10 good ones in a row, he deserves the same energy coming back in the other direction.
Do we need more pitchers? Do we need an expanded roster and more pitchers because the way pitchers are used now and no one's throwing complete games?
I'm interested in that. I am. You'll eventually get there when rosters expand just a bit in September.
Yeah, but we need it. We need
even
it now.
Earlier, like even one more, because especially when you look at the Jays is a good example. Varland, Rogers, Fisher, Fluharty, Hoffman, like these guys are getting used. I'm really interested to see if this comes up in the CBA negotiations, like roster sizes. Will it be, and that would be in favor of the players. It's more jobs, it's more opportunities, and that's a very good thing for players. Now, would that be all season long, or would that be maybe the first month of the season to get guys settled in, and also the last 2 months? I don't know how it works, but there's so much movement, and you see in Toronto right now guys getting worn out at this point, and you're seeing the rotation of Adam Macko, Chad Dallas, CJ Van Eyck is up now. The guys who are just trying to fill innings at this point. Not enough of them, man. No matter how much pitching you think you have, it's never, ever, ever enough. Same with starters. We talked about them having too many starters. No chance, right? So it has been pretty messy. And we were talking the other day, Dan, about how wild it was when rosters used to expand to just like 40.
Yes.
That's crazy in hindsight, because
It
we
was
were standing
awesome.
in the Fenway Park Visitors Clubhouse, which is like as big as the room I'm sitting in right now. It is so small. We're supposed to say it's charming and historic, and you know what those words actually mean. It's so small. They would have stools like lining out the hallway. There'd be guys just getting changed, like sitting on the table in the middle of the room. You have 40 guys, right? And I kind of love that. It got wacky, right? And if the game was totally out of hand, you just let some guy who hasn't pitched in 3 weeks like throw 6 innings and tell him his season's over. It doesn't matter, right? Maybe there's a sweet spot in the middle where it's more 30, something like that. But I'm really interested in that going into next year. I think that could eventually be a talking point.
When they went to 40, that was like Disneyland as a kid that loved baseball, because you got guys like Leapin' Lou Thornton who got called up to the Blue Jays, and you're like, who is this guy? And he'd get 2 at bats, and you just get glimpses of guys with a story you could never figure out, so you had to create it in your own head. That was the heyday of baseball.
I'd love the pinch runner is only.
Yes.
Like there would be guys that they didn't need to have a bat, but they were in the big leagues for a month, got paid for a month, good on them, and their only job would just to be fast. You know, I'm talking myself back into it. I think I like it again, man. I like the weird role players, and teams would start to try to find these guys, man. Some pretty smart organizations did some cool things.
So when can we expect movement to start? Because Jays fans are now at the point where just do it. Just start making the moves now.
I think it all happens late, man. I really do. The deadline will be just before first pitch Monday in Houston. I think you'll see some stuff start to happen Saturday and Sunday around the league. But in the American League, it's not really up to the Blue Jays at this point. It's up to the teams that are stuck in the middle. The Tampa Bay Rays, they're ready to buy. They're ready to do stuff. The Yankees are ready to buy and ready to do stuff. Everyone else is kind of stuck. The Twins are a half game back of a playoff spot. Astros are 1, Mariners 1.5, the Orioles 2.5. Even in the wild card spots, Boston and Cleveland don't have strongholds on those. And it's pretty similar in the National League as well. So I think that creates this log jam. And I would love to see just a team jump out ahead of this and control the deadline for yourself. I like the deal that the Red Sox and Nationals did with Conley early going to the Nationals and Curtis Mead to the Red Sox. Like, cool. Baseball trade. Not even really buying or selling, but just like shake the market up a little bit. And most trade deadlines in every sport are overhyped and more fluff than substance, frankly. This one, I think, will be very quiet and then explode late on. And the Blue Jays being a good example of that. And they can take it up to the deadline, but you do get into the part where I think Kevin Gausman lines up to pitch Saturday back home against the Cardinals, I think are coming to town. Does he make that start? Probably not. It starts to get ugly, and you need to be able to field a roster around this. You know, it gets kind of awkward. So it'll be close to the deadline. I think close to Monday. It's not going to start today, but you need to really take care of it once it opens up.
Keegs, we're going to do rapid fire. You're going to give me the percentage of these players being a Blue Jay come next week. So Clement, Guerrero, Okamoto, all 100%, correct?
Yes.
Varsho.
Of being a Blue Jay, 20.
Jimenez.
100. I don't think anyone else wants that contract.
Really? Even for that stellar defense?
Yeah, that contract's a lot of money. 23 plus mil. Yeah, that's a lot of cash.
Springer.
2. I think he's one of the likeliest to go.
Lucas?
100. I
Yeah.
think he's such a solid baseball player, man. I know other teams will see that, but I think Lucas is a good example of like more valuable to the Jays than someone else. So underrated.
Jesus Sanchez.
60. He's got 1 year left, so I think it's likely he stays, but maybe you get a call.
Valenzuela is 100%.
100.
Miles Straw.
That's an interesting one. I'll go 60 there as well, just to say majority. He's got an $8 million option left, a $1.75 million buyout of that, I believe. The role he filled for the Jays last year in the postseason, where he entered 14 games as a runner or defensive replacement, that could make sense for another team. I really think it could.
And you said the amount that we think the team loves Miles Straw, they love him even more.
Yeah, they really like the guy, man. Like if they're on the fence about a decision to bring him back, if it's 50-50, I think they say yes because they love the dude.
Piñago's 100%.
Yeah.
Kirk's 100%. Lenine Sosa?
Wow. That's a blast. That's a guy that could let's say 100, because that's a guy that could play like 49 games down the stretch. And I'm just watching and thinking, oh, all right. Here we
go. Percentage of being on the Jays next week, Davis Schneider.
90. You never know with pieces like him, and I guess even Lucas and Piñago. If you're trying to buy a pitcher or center fielder, maybe that's the type of piece other teams have interest in, but I think he sticks 90.
Luis Urias, a guy who's only been here about a month.
It's a sneaky option. Give me that 60% range again, because I think he sticks around, but he's been useful. And if there's a team out there with a thin infield, why not?
Okay, so now we go to the pitchers. Kevin Gausman.
5%.
He's going to be a J still.
Yeah, I think it's extremely likely he's dealt.
Cease and Yusavich, they're both 100%. Patrick Corbin.
Injured, so you probably can't do much there. But he's a guy that if he can come back healthy, might just have to eat a billion innings down the stretch to keep this team alive.
Spencer Miles, I think, is 100%.
Yep.
Louis Varland, I know we've discussed this. You said they're going to entertain offers, but my thoughts on Louis Varland is this is the one guy. You can trade all those other guys and no one really bats an eye, but Louis Varland, you get into a PR nightmare.
They'd riot. 99%, because I can never say all the way when it's a reliever. But if you trade him, you're just going to go looking for another Louis Varland, and you're not going to find him.
Braden Fisher?
95.
Now, you mentioned Tyler Rogers. He has been one of the bright spots for the Jays, and you think they're going to be open to hearing offers?
I think that they will get calls on Tyler Rogers, but a 1.51 ERA, which has happened in a way that I haven't even noticed, which is a high compliment. He's due just over 13 mil each of the next couple years, 9 mil his last year. I think this is another don't mess around with happy situation. Your 8th and 9th inning look really good right now, and you need them to look good next year. So I think that's another kind of 99% he sticks around.
Jeff Hoffman, I know Jays fans would help him move his stuff out of his condo or home.
He's the 50-50 for me. Like, he's the one I'll fence sit on, because I think there is a very real chance he's moved. There will be interest. I know there is interest around the league for Jeff Hoffman, and I know Blue Jays fans have their opinions on him, and I get it. I totally get it. But there will be aggressive front offices looking at his whiff rates, his strikeout numbers, and saying, hey, if we just capture the right 25 innings of Jeff Hoffman, that could change everything.
I'm saying Mason Fluharty's 100% going to be a J.
Probably, yeah. He's pretty steady for this team.
And the last two, these will be interesting. Shane Bieber.
Give me 10% on that. I mean, I think Gausman is a little more guaranteed, but Bieber looks extremely likely to be dealt, and no real value to him being here beyond the deadline. He's got to go chase another title.
And finally, Max Scherzer, who I can only assume this is his last stint with the Jays. This is he's not being put out to pasture, but his time with the Jays will be over at the end of the season.
I put that at just a 20%. Maybe there's this weird world where he agrees to carry the torch and the Jays can't find anyone, and he also has $1 million incentives beginning in 40 innings, and he just starts chewing through innings. Yeah, I don't know how that works, but I think that's a situation where the Jays find him, and it's a player to be named later situation. And the way I worded it last night on Overdrive, I said it's not even so much trading for Max Scherzer, it's like adopting him. It's like, all right, we'll take him. You know, he can start the next couple for us while we figure out our rotation, and if it works, great. If not, then didn't really give up much.
I would like to see the fine print in those player to be named later trades.
Yeah, you usually get often a list. Now, sometimes it's done because guys who were just drafted can't be traded, so you have to wait till the winter. But how it works sometimes, to my understanding, is that there will be a list of 6 guys or something like that. And by this date, you've got to pick one, or the team trading them can take a couple off. But always exciting, the PTBNL for fans getting one of those back, baby. Right up there with cash considerations. Fire me up.
Thanks, buddy.
You got her, Dan.